Hey guys, Jason Whaling here, and in this episode number 3 of Building an Online Business from Scratch, I'm going to talk about arguably one of the most important parts of building an online business, your prospect avatar. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome to episode 3. In episode number 1, just to give you a quick recap, I showed you what my sales funnel process is going to look like, creating a small webinar funnel, selling consulting on the back end. And then in episode 2, I introduced you to Start With Why by Simon Sinek, and why I think that's the best place to start if you're looking to figure out what your passion is or what kind of product or service you should look into making. So in this episode, I wanted to show you what it looks like making an ideal customer. And of course, this can change, but essentially when you're crafting your marketing messages and you're building your products and services in the future, you essentially want to make it to focus in on one prospect or one ideal customer. And of course, this ideal customer is an average per se of representation of all the customers you should have. But this is arguably the first or second step you should ever do. So what I'm going to show you now is the ideal customer that I came up with and a few of the questions that I used from some courses I took to essentially solve the problem of who should I sell to. And I want to note before we jump into this that I did this before I knew what my product was going to be. I knew what my passion was, which is teach people how to start an online business, make some part-time income. And I knew that I wanted to make some sort of course or system. And then that was all I really got to do to choose in terms of what the product should be. And then I went and did this exercise. And based on this exercise, I went into the marketplace and looked for, okay, what's the best solution to this individual's problem? So without further ado, here's the prospect avatar. So my prospect avatar is named Scott Campbell. And the whole purpose of creating this avatar, like I said in the beginning, is to just have a very vivid, clear picture of who you are selling to. It's really easy when you're starting an online business to get really caught up in Facebook ads and your membership website and your landing page. And sometimes we forget that we're actually talking to real people at the end of the day, like we're selling to real people. So when I set out to figure out how I was going to essentially help people start an online business, first I had to figure out what kind of person I should be helping. And I came up with Scott Campbell. And of course, I do recommend that you come up with a name for the person. So I'm just going to run through really quick the big questions you can ask yourself in terms of who am I going to sell? Who am I going to sell to? Because you probably already know what industry or niche you want to be in. You probably have an idea of what product you want to do. And so asking these questions, who are they? Where do they live? What do they do for fun? What are their demographics? Age, marital status. Do they have children? Do they not have children? Are they making $150,000 a year? Are they making $70,000 a year? What do they like to read and watch? And then, what's important to them in their goals. And of course, this should apply to your market or industry in terms of their goals in solving their problem or achieving a goal that they have. And then what keeps them up at night? And that's just kind of the emotional aspect of, hey, what are they really afraid of? And what do they worry about? So my ideal customer is age 37, makes about $80,000 a year, and lives in California. Now you'll notice in parentheses, I have 35 to 55 and then joint, because that means he's married. And then I have the ideal locations that I'd want to target. And actually these came from Charles Kirkland, because I was watching a blab with him and Kurt Malley, and he was talking about how with his course he teaches people how to do media buying. And I know that I want to teach people who his audience is probably going to be very similar to mine. I'm just targeting people who are newer in the process, because a novice isn't going to be media buying. That'd be a little silly. But he mentioned that, you know, California, Florida, Texas, Washington, Chicago, New York, those areas were the real moneymakers for him in terms of advertising. So I thought I'd just go with the expert, what the expert's working for the expert. And of course, I'll expand to other states and cities from there. So if you're in anything that has to do with business building or internet marketing, Charles Kirkland finds those locations pretty profitable. And then I have the core values, and this is just what Scott really values in his life. I don't really get political or religious with these unless it's important to you, because I don't want to project my own beliefs on them. And as you'll see, you'll probably wind up selling to a lot of people who don't agree with you on those two big points. So unless it's critical to your product, you can probably just leave them out, which I like to do. So I have professionalism. He really cares about his job and career, providing for his family, being in control. He's not a go with the flow type of guy. He's very results oriented. Again, not really go with the flow, you know, independent, and then being informed. So Scott likes being informed instead of, you know, scrolling through his Facebook Facebook feed. He's more likely to start off, you know, at the Wall Street Journal or New York Times or LA Times, you know, or Florida Times if there's a Florida Times, and then he'll go to social media just because he wants to be informed with what's going on in the world. So I'll just read the bio really quick just to give you an example of how to craft your own prospect avatar. So he works in corporate America for a Fortune 500 company or a Fortune 1000 company. You'll see I do "or" in here, and that's just because it's an individual, but at the same time you have to remember that this individual represents a lot of people. So maybe he started at Fortune 1000 and then he went to a 500. And both him and his wife, they've both gone to college. They have a house together. They have one daughter, and they're living comfortably now, but he's starting to think about the future. You know, he's not sure if he wants to work 9 to 5 the next 30 years. And he's tried some online business stuff in the past, but nothing's really seemed to work, and life keeps getting in the way. You know, all of a sudden the car breaks down or there's an emergency at work. So things have gotten in the way of him consistently applying himself with the business, trying to build a business. And while he likes the idea of retiring early and rich, you know, escaping the 9 to 5 is much more important to him. So even though the idea, and I think we all like this idea, like, oh yeah, we're gonna make like 100,000 in the first year or something crazy like that, and then quit our jobs. Well, probably not. More realistically, it's gonna take you a couple of years to build an online practice or business. So I included that in his profile because I don't want to market to people who want to make 100,000 in the first year, because they're going to be disappointed with anything I come up with. If I figure out how to do that, then maybe I can adjust the prospect avatar. But for now, I'll just stick with this. And then he has what he thinks is a great idea or a skill, and he wants to share with the world, but he's kind of had trouble doing it. And this last paragraph is just to focus on the fact that this is someone that already has a passion. Like, they're not just looking to make a bunch of money online. He wants to take his skill or passion and share it and create a business around it. And then powerful emotional drivers. I kind of put a section all to itself, and this goes into questions 6 and 7, you know, what is important to them and what keeps them up at night. So all I did here was take part of the values that I'd already come up with and then dive deeper into why he really wants to be, you know, why does he want to be independent? Well, because he wants recognition from friends and family. He wants to be respected. I mean, he does want more income, obviously, but then there's the social aspect of being able to stand on your own 2 feet. You know, he wants to work with people that actually appreciate him. I think this is a big thing for all of us, especially when you're dealing with clients. You might be in a situation where you know you're doing great work, but you just don't get the thank you or kudos, or maybe they just keep keep complaining about what you're doing. And then, excuse my French here, but he's tired of the BS. And the BS in other courses that he's got that he's trying just don't seem to really work. You know, so he's not looking for the gimmicks. He's over the marketing gimmicks. He's new to the process, but he's not going to fall for all the gimmicks that are out there. And of course, he wants to, again, I just expanded on the picture of having financial freedom in the last bullet point. And then we go to short-term impulse. And this is where this is kind of optional, but this is where you can kind of dive in and look at, okay, what are they looking at right now? Like, what do they want to do right now? And a little crass, but where are they temporarily insane? So this is kind of when you get excited. Like maybe one week, you know, okay, yeah, I do want to join a gym. It's kind of like at the first of the year, everyone joins a gym because they're really excited and they're like, I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to do it. And we all have times in our lives where we get a little overzealous. So where in his process, in his thinking or mindset, is he a little overzealous? And those overzealous times are the times where I'm probably most likely to connect with him and provide value to him. So I want to identify those times and those topics he might get temporarily excited about. And those topics he might get temporarily excited about are the types of topics I might write blog posts on, I might run advertising campaigns on, just to connect with him. And then I can show him, once I've kind of scratched that itch per se, then I can show him something else. And then we kind of go down here, you know, where is Scott Campbell? I went ahead and, you know, go to Twitter, Facebook. Twitter and Facebook are the two that I use. And I just made lists of who he might be following on Twitter and Facebook, other people he might be looking to learn from. And then I also went into the self-help, because a lot of people who want to build a business online also might be very interested in self-help. So what self-help kind of guru would they be following? And then I went and did some podcast research. I just used these two blog posts because they were so comprehensive. But you know, if they listen to podcasts, what do they listen to? And then I have books, I have magazines, Outliers spelled wrong, and then popular marketing blogs that he might read. And by this point, you'll notice I only had HubSpot. I got an exhaustive list of everything else, so I felt like I was good to go with that. And that's what it takes to put together a customer avatar. I mean, you can do that on a Saturday afternoon. For the questions, don't worry, don't have to go rewind the video and find it. They are in the description below, along with some other bullet points and helpful tips for coming up with your own prospect avatar. So really, this is step number 1 or 2 of starting an online business or consulting practice, is just figuring out who you're going to sell to. And then after that, you figure out what their problem is going to be, and you decide the best medium for connecting with them and selling your product or service. So I hope you enjoyed this video and got some value out of it. If you did, please go ahead and hit that like button, and then subscribe for more episodes like these, and then also specific videos that dive into the details and intricacies of what it takes to build an online business. This particular series, I'm just going through each step individually, and you'll watch as I go from 0 to an actual live sales funnel at the end. And of course, I'm doing this all live in real time. So as I build more of the business, more of these videos will come out. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with the latest content, and I'll see you in the next video.